Hello everyone, Cassie here. Welcome back for another video here on my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be playing with some of the new Simon Hurley Create products. We're going to make a Christmas card here in July. So I've got this brand new cling rubber background called the Stippled background. We're also going to be bringing in the retro holiday stamps along with the matching dies. I have this oldie but goodie grand Greenery stencil because I just thought it would go perfectly with what I had in my head. And like I said, there are matching dies for these. I love that Simon Hurley Create is now doing that. And I do have a release and review of this entire release. So if you want to head back to my channel and check that out, you sure can. All right, so let's get started with our card. I've got our background and I have a piece of green cardstock that I'm going to trim down to be 4 inches by 5.5 inches. So there's only going to be like a little bit of a white border on the left and right hand side when I put this onto an A2 size card. And then I'm going to pull out my background. I'm not going to put this into my MISTI. We are just going to ink this up and put our cardstock right to it. Because these red rubber stamps are just so easy to stamp with, that is just an easy way to do it. So we're going to do that. First of all, I'm going to give Miles some love because he has just been so needy lately. There's a certain time of the day where that poor sweet boy just needs all the love that you can give. So I'm going to give it to him and we'll eventually just start working around him. And yeah, so here we go. I'm going to ink this up with some fake plant. And I don't need to do the whole stamp because this is a 6x6 stamp. So I'm just going to ink that up really well, take my paper right to it, and then I'm just going to press down with my fingers. You could use a brayer if you wanted to, put another piece down on top of this, however you want to do it. But that's how our background's going to look. It's subtle, but I do like that. And then to clean it, I'll just use a little water and a microfiber cloth. All right, I want to make sure that this background is nice and dry. So I am hitting this with my heat tool to make sure that ink is set because I want to do a little bit of embossing on top of it. So I use my anti-static powder tool that just helps some of that white powder not stick to the background. And then I'm going to pull out the sentiment that I want. I love how this sentiment matches perfectly with the tree. But we're not going to use the tree. We're just going to stamp this right down on top using some clear embossing ink. And then I'll cover that with some detail white embossing powder. I didn't do the best job, I guess, of heat setting that background. So I do have a little bit of that powder sticking to areas where I don't really want it to. So I'm just using a dry brush to wipe some of that powder away. And that does a good job. So once I'm happy with that, we'll hit that with our heat tool so that we can melt that embossing powder. So it'll be nice and shiny. And it'll raise up a little bit. You'll be able to tell it'll go from a matte finish to a shiny finish. I'll wipe away the excess powder tool and then we'll put all of our embossing stuff away. And then I'm going to bring this background back in. I'm going to use my tonic platform along with our grand Greenery stencil. I'm putting that down with my magnets and then I decide I want to cover the sentiment just to make sure that I don't get any of our solar paste on top of it. So then I'll put those magnets down. That's just a little bit of repositionable tape. But I'm bringing in some of that new solar paste, the new to me solar paste. This is the Crocodile Tears. I'm using a palette knife from Simon Hurley Create along with our spreader. These just go perfectly with those lunar pastes and those brand new solar pastes. And if you have not seen the solar pastes, you gotta go check them out. Check out some videos, check out some social media on them. They're really beautiful. Not only do they look so pretty on black cardstock, they look amazing on all dark cardstocks. So that's why I chose this dark green background. You're going to see how pretty this Crocodile Tears solar paste looks on that background once it's dry. So I'm going to move this off to the side, let that dry off. I'll clean up my mess, and then we're going to move on to our stamping. And I apologize, some of my stuff is off of my screen a little bit. Sometimes when I'm creating, I just don't pay much attention to that. So I did ink up this particular stamp from our retro holiday stamp set with some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And the reason I did that is because it's a nice crisp black ink. Now I wouldn't want to use that with Copic markers or any alcohol markers for that matter, since I had planned to do some 2-step stamping, which this stamp has, and I love. You guys know I love that. It's just such a fun way to do an image. I went ahead and used that VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. I am going to do some double stamping here. It's the rock and roll technique. So I've done the first color, which was some Later Gator, our next color that I just put on the edges, is our fake plant. And look at how that gives the inside of that bauble more of a light finish. The next one I'm going to ink up with some Bee Sting, which is our lighter red. I'll stamp that down, and then I'm going to do the edges with our Game Over, which is our darker red. If you get too much ink in there, just use a microfiber cloth to wipe away the inside. And then our final one, our final combo, is going to start with some Clear Skies. So I just ink up that whole stamp with the Clear Skies, stamp it down. And then I'm going to bring in some Remember Me for the second part. But here we've got our Clear Skies. I was trying to decide what kind of blue I wanted. So there's our Clear Skies. Love how that looks. And then we'll bring in our Remember Me just for those edges. Once again, I got a little overboard on the center, so I'll bring in my microfiber cloth to pounce some of that color out of the inside. And then we'll stamp that down. I love how these look. I did bring in a jelly pen. This one's just like a clear jelly pen, just to give a little bit of shimmer and shine to the top part of our baubles. And then I'm going to bring out that matching die. I love that the matching die will cut out the strings as well. So we're going to stick that down with a little bit of tape, run that through our die cutting machine, and then we are going to heat set our background. Now it's almost dry. You can see how some of that background fake plant that I did with the stippled background kind of came through on our Crocodile Tears solar paste, but I love it. It gives it an ombre look. I'll show you. You can see some of that stippling came through. It's just so pretty to me. I love it. All right, and our background is pretty much dry. So now I'm going to take some foam tape and we're going to put that all over our background, all over the back of our baubles. And then once I get that all done, we'll glue down our panel to our card base, which is just a card base that measures, all closed up, it's 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. So there it is. And then I'm going to glue down. I put glue on the back of these just to make sure if I wanted to move them a little bit, which I did, that I could do that. That's just a quick little trick you can do if those are double-sided adhesive strips, which those are. And then I'm going to grab one of the sentiments that I can stamp on the inside, just using some more of that VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. But I don't stop there. I do pull in some Autumn Red Nuvo drops. I don't know if those are still available anymore. I've had these for years and they work great. So I'm just going to add some little berries to our green background. And once that's done, that's going to finish off our card for today. I love, love, love how this one turned out, and I would love to know what you think of it. So go ahead and leave a comment down in the comment section down below and let me know what you think. If you like this video, hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And as always, I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.